Welcome to this explainer. You know that one argument you're still having in your head from like 3 years ago? Or that totally perfect plan you mapped out, only to watch it completely fall apart? Yeah, we've absolutely all been there. Clinging tightly to a past event, a mistake, or maybe a specific person, just hoping that if we hold on with enough force, reality will eventually bend to our will. But what if holding on is actually the exact thing holding you back? Today we're unpacking a deeply personal and profoundly transformative journey from our source material, the art of letting go. We're going to take this concept from a passive, helpless feeling of defeat and turn it into an incredibly empowering, active practice for your own emotional freedom. So get ready, because we are mapping out the exact psychological steps to reclaim your inner peace.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the reality of letting go. Before we actually get into how to do this, we've got to clear up a massive misconception that trips us up right out of the gate. A lot of us equate letting go with just throwing our hands up, admitting defeat, and giving up entirely. But the source material draws a super important line here. Letting go does not mean you're giving up. Rather, it means making peace with reality. Think of it kind of like being caught in a riptide in the ocean. If you try to swim directly against it, fighting the current, you exhaust yourself and eventually you drown. That's fighting reality. Making peace with reality is choosing to swim parallel to the shore. You acknowledge the current is there, you accept you can't overpower it, and you change your strategies so you can survive. Letting go is the profound acceptance that you literally cannot control other people's choices, you can't erase past mistakes, and you can't force outcomes. It's the active choice to release your emotional grip on those uncontrollable things. When we break that reality down into actionable steps, letting go becomes this incredibly dynamic process. It means accepting what actually happened and dropping that heavy anchor of the past. It means intentionally cutting the puppet strings of trying to control other people. But here is the absolute game changer. Letting go is actually an active redirection. When you stop fighting reality, you suddenly get this massive surplus of energy back. You take all that wasted effort you spent battling the unchangeable and you redirect it like watering a plant, putting it entirely towards your own growth and what you can actually influence today. That simple shift is exactly what allows genuine healing to start.
Moving right along to Section 2, 7 Steps to Release.
This journey isn't just some vague, abstract idea, it's a practical, step-by-step roadmap that starts internally. Step 1. Acknowledge your feelings. You've got to actually name what you feel out loud or write it down. Anger, sadness, betrayal, whatever it is. And why is this so crucial? Because neurologically speaking, when you name an emotion, it literally moves the processing from the panic center of your brain right over to the logic center. The feelings lose their raw intensity. Step 2 is accepting what you cannot change. You have to realize deeply that you can't rewrite history or force someone to behave differently. It feels like this massive physical exhale when you finally stop trying to bend the past. And step 3 is to identify the lesson. Ask yourself, what did this specific experience teach me, and what boundaries do I need to put up to safeguard my peace going forward?
Next, we focus outward. Step 4 is often the hardest one. Forgive for your own peace. Now, to be crystal clear, this does not excuse harmful, toxic behavior, and it doesn't mean reconciliation. It just means you've decided to stop carrying around a burning coal in your bare hands. Step 5 asks you to release the need for closure. Seriously, this is a massive one. Sometimes you are just never going to get that explanation or that apology. And it's incredibly frustrating. But if you wait for someone else to hand you closure, you are giving them complete power over your healing. Your healing doesn't depend on their apology. Step 6 is to focus entirely on the present moment, grounding yourself in today. And finally, Step 7, create new meaning. Take the rubble of this really difficult experience and use it to build up your own self-respect and wisdom.
Okay, Section 3, questions to shift perspective. Let's slow down for a second and do a quick internal audit. The text offers some really profound questions to help shift your mindset. Ask yourself right now, in this exact moment, what am I still trying to control? Think about your life. Be brutally honest. What situation, what outcome, or what person are you still fruitlessly trying to manage? We waste an exhausting amount of time trying to micromanage the universe, playing chess with things that have already happened. Recognizing where you're applying that draining pressure is step 1 to relieving it. Now try this one. What would happen if I trusted life more? Kind of a terrifying thought at first, right? Taking your hands completely off the steering wheel. But just imagine the sheer emotional weight that would lift off your shoulders, the literal tension that would leave your neck if you just stopped resisting. What if you started trusting the natural flow of your life instead of living in constant fear that if you don't micromanage every detail, it's all going to fall apart? Next, ask yourself, what is this experience teaching me? Like we touched on earlier, every struggle has a lesson tucked inside it. but finding it requires a massive shift in focus. Instead of getting endlessly swept up in the chaotic tornado of the problem itself, you have to consciously extract the wisdom. That lesson transforms from a source of pain into a solid stepping stone. If you focus on the pain, you stay stuck. If you focus on the lesson, you move forward.
And the final audit question: what deserves my energy now? Think of your daily energy like your phone battery. It's finite and it's precious. If you leave heavy apps running in the background, like anger over the past or anxiety about trying to control someone, your battery is totally drained before you can even tackle the present moment. By asking this question, you are actively choosing to close those background apps and invest your energy into the here and now.
The source text offers this beautiful grounding mantra for these exact moments. I release what I cannot control. I accept what is. I trust that what is meant for me will remain. The instruction here is to just sit quietly, take a deep breath, and repeat this to yourself. Use this simple practice to recenter whenever you feel that desperate, creeping urge to start micromanaging everything again. It's an incredible verbal anchor.
Which brings us to Section 4, recognizing your inner peace. As you consistently apply these steps and lean into that mantra, a real shift starts to happen. You arrive at true emotional freedom. But how do you actually know when you're getting there? Well, first off, you simply think about the situation way less. It doesn't instantly dominate your thoughts the second you wake up. Second, the heat of the emotion really fades. You feel way less anger and resentment. Third, and this is the ultimate victory, you completely stop waiting for others to change. You accept them or you walk away. And the final result? You just feel this deep, lasting sense of emotional clarity and profound peace.
To truly appreciate this newly found peace, we have to understand the root of the pain we're leaving behind. Across so many psychological and spiritual traditions, suffering essentially boils down to one core thing: attachment. It's that fierce clinging to expectations, to specific people, or to demanded outcomes. When you forcefully demand that reality be different than it actually is, you suffer. But when you release that attachment, you aren't losing anything. You're actually emptying the room of anxiety and control, making the exact space you need for real joy and personal growth to finally move in.
As we wrap up this explainer, please remember this. Letting go is a gradual process. It absolutely does not happen overnight. You don't just say a mantra once and boom, you're entirely healed. But every single time you actively choose acceptance over resistance, you take a measurable, tangible step closer to real freedom. It is a daily, sometimes hourly choice to step away from the rubble of the past. And making that choice, it's literally the most empowering thing you can do for yourself.
I want to leave you with one final, super provocative question from the text to chew on today. Who are you without this pain? If you weren't lugging around this heavy burden, if you weren't entirely defined by this specific struggle or past event, what would actually be possible for you? What kind of space would open up in your life? Let the resonance of that question guide you as you navigate your own journey. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I really encourage you to take these steps, consciously apply them today, and start the incredible work of reclaiming your inner peace.